Welcome, everyone. Thank you for joining us. It is 4:29 p.m., and I call this meeting of the Board of Education to order. I'll call the roll, please.
Ms. Clementi,
I'm here.
Mr. Farrell,
I'm here.
Judge Mays,
Here.
Mr. Voss,
Here.
Dr. Wright.
Here.
And we'll open today in executive session. So I will move that the Board of Education will meet in executive session for the purpose of considering the following matters: to receive legal advice and the opinion of the district's legal counsel on specific legal questions, including board authority with respect to public health orders and guidance and threatened litigation pursuant to CRS 24-6-402, Prim 4, Prim B, to discuss personnel matters, specifically the superintendent's ongoing evaluation pursuant to CRS 24-6-402, Prim 4, Prim F, and discussion of individual students where public disclosure would adversely affect the person or persons involved pursuant to CRS 24-6-402, Prim 4, Prim H.
Second.
I'll call the vote, please.
Ms. Clementi,
Aye.
Mr. Farrell,
Aye.
Judge Mays,
Aye.
Mr. Voss,
Aye.
Dr. Wright.
Aye.
We'll be moving to another link now for executive session, and we'll be back here at 6 p.m. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
Welcome, everyone. Thank you for joining us tonight. I've already called this meeting to order, so we're going to go ahead and start off with the Pledge of Allegiance. We could all stand, please. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation,
Under
under
God,
God, indivisible,
indivisible,
with liberty
liberty,
and justice for all. Superintendent Macaluso, do you have any corrections or modifications to the agenda?
Thank you, President Voss. At this time, there are no corrections or modifications to the agenda.
Then I will move that we adopt the agenda as presented.
Second.
I'll call the vote, please.
Ms. Calenti,
Aye.
Mr. Farrell,
Aye.
Judge Mays,
Aye.
Mr. Voss,
Aye.
Dr. Wright.
Aye.
We'll move now to 4.0 gifts to schools. Superintendent Macaluso.
Thank you, President Voss. I would ask that the Board of Education approve the following gifts to Pueblo School District 60 in the amount of $49,330. We have quite a few, so bear with me. The first gift is from the NRA Foundation Incorporated, donated $280 to Centennial High School as a JROTC grant donation. The Chung Foundation Vanguard Skin Specialist donated $2,000 to Bradford Elementary School for general and unrestricted supplies. Pueblo South High School Alumni Foundation donated $1,000 to the Pueblo South High School cheer team for the purchase of mats. Praise Assembly of God donated $500 to Bradford Elementary School for school supplies. Pueblo Central High Foundation donated $15,000 to the Pueblo Central High School girls swim team. The Father John Powers Memorial donated $2,500 to Pueblo Central High School football team. Stephen Naraki donated $100 to the Pueblo Central High School boys swim team. Vanessa Espinoza donated $600 to the South High School POWA wrestling program. Prestige Dental Center LLC donated $1,750 to Centennial High School football program. Brooke Belton donated $2,000 to South High School girls softball program. Matthew Dunich Insurance Agency Incorporated donated $1,000 to Central High School to 2021 girls volleyball program. Southside Lowe's donated the following items to Central High School: face masks, hand sanitizer stands, UV light disinfecting wands, and sanitizing wipes. Estimated value on these items is $3,000. Pueblo Central Foundation gave their annual donation of $7,000 to Central High School to be used for clubs, shirts for staff and students, prizes, classroom needs, school projects, and much more. Premier Homes donated $2,000 to South High School girls softball program. James Nunn donated $500 to Pueblo Central High School Drama Club. Sunset Park PTCA donated $3,000 to Sunset Park Elementary School for student activities. Pueblo Central High School Foundation donated a total of $2,400 to Central High School for the following sports programs: football in the amount of $940, volleyball $300, cross country $190, boys golf $130, boys soccer $200, girls softball $290, unified bowling $160, boys tennis $190. Pueblo Central High School Foundation donated $3,200 to the speech and debate team. Gonzalez Pipeline and Excavation LLC donated $500 to East High School boys soccer, and an anonymous donor donated $1,000 to South High School dance team. That concludes the gifts to schools.
Thank you. And with that, I will move that we approve and accept the gifts to schools as presented in tonight's board materials.
Second.
I'll call the vote, please.
Ms. Calenti,
Aye.
Mr. Farrell,
Aye.
Judge Mays,
Aye.
Mr. Voss,
Aye.
Dr. Wright.
Aye.
As always, thank you so much to all of our donors. We'll now move to 5.0 recognition. Superintendent Macaluso.
Thank you, President Voss. At this time, I'd like to introduce Miss Cindy Smith, and she is going to present some pretty cool awards. Ms. Smith?
Yes, hello. Can everyone hear me okay and see my screen?
I can hear you.
It looks like you are not, okay. Yep, I think we're good.
Okay, great. Good evening, President Voss, Superintendent Macaluso, and school board members. I have two special visual art recognitions to present to you tonight. This first group of artists we would like to recognize are the young artists who were selected for publication in the 2021 Colorado Kids Create contest. Our students have participated in this contest for several years now, but as a refresher, the art contest is sponsored by Colorado Kids Create Incorporated, who is a nonprofit organization sponsored by the Colorado Education Association. Their purpose is to write children's books about Colorado and the West, which are illustrated by Colorado students. Book sale profits go to art supplies for Colorado teachers in collaboration with the Philip J. Steele Foundation. This year, 8 District 60 students were chosen as winners and are now published artists. Due to the meeting's virtual format, we have already presented these students with their certificate and a copy of the book they are published in, and will be displaying their artwork on the following slides. And as always, there is a copy of each book for Superintendent Macaluso and the Board of Education. Before we recognize the students for their outstanding artwork, I would just like to take a moment to recognize the teacher who continues to make these extra opportunities for students happen consistently year after year. Mrs. April Vicky is in her 7th year of teaching and has been the art teacher at Centennial High School since 2019. She has had her students participating in the Colorado Kids Create contest since she started her teaching career. A little later, we are going to recognize one of her students for a It gives an interesting history of the game of basketball while cheering on our own Denver Nuggets. We had the following 2 District 60 artists selected for this book. Delicia Apodaca, class of 2021 at Central High School, and was selected as the cover winner this year. I believe she's our first cover winner.
Is that Centennial High School?
Yes, these are all Centennial High School students. And we also had in Denver Nuggets, Holly Ward, who was also class of 2021. The next book, Long's Peak and Red Rocks, is a fun way to learn more about early Colorado exploration, the history of Red Rocks Amphitheater, and the artists who helped pave the way for a better understanding of Colorado's natural beauties. 4 students were published in this book. Jaden Baca, class of 2021. Kira Davis, class of 2021. Heather Ward, class of 2021, and was selected as the title page winner in this book. And Amber Yoakum, current 10th grade student at Centennial High School. The final book, The San Luis Valley, explores Colorado's unique landscapes, its earliest inhabitants, and how this particular region has evolved over time. 2 students were published in this book. The first was Todd Collinsworth, current 11th grade student at Centennial High School. And Taya Valdez, current 12th grade student at Centennial High School. So congratulations to all of our outstanding Colorado Kids Create artists. Our next recognition is for a special young lady selected as a winner for the 2021 Congressional Art Competition. Each spring, the Congressional Institute sponsors a nationwide high school visual art competition to recognize and encourage artistic talent in the nation and in each congressional district. Winners are recognized both in their district and at an annual awards ceremony in Washington, D.C., and the winning artworks are displayed for 1 year at the U.S. Capitol. Ariana Woodford, 12th grade student at Centennial High School, was selected this year to receive this prestigious award. Her painting, titled Early Morning, was selected and is now hanging in the U.S. Capitol's Cannon Tunnel. So I want to say a special congratulations to Ariana. We are so proud to have you representing District 60 on a national level. And at this time, I would like to thank you, Superintendent Macaluso, and the Board of Education for the opportunity to recognize our outstanding artists tonight.
Thank you, Ms. Smith, for doing that presentation. I know that it was a little extra effort to do it virtually, but we appreciate your work. Special congratulations to each and every one of our students. Such an honor to be published artist, and to have your work displayed is amazing. Special thanks to Miss Vicky for going above and beyond, and for ensuring that our students have this opportunity. We appreciate your work.
Yeah, thank you, Ms. Smith, and a huge congratulations to all of our students, and a huge thank you to all of our incredible staff and the work that they do. So thank you so much. All right, and with that, we'll move now to public comment. It's my understanding we don't have any public comment for tonight. Is that correct?
President Voss, that is correct.
Okay, then we'll go ahead and move along. We'll go to 7.0 Communications Board Comments. Does anybody have any Communications Board comments?
I have a few, but I'll let others go first.
Sure. Dr. Wright?
Oh, I just wanted to say I had an opportunity to visit Bessemer Elementary School yesterday, and that I'm so proud of Principal Angela Garcia and her staff. It was amazing, exciting. When I walked in the building, just excitement that I felt, and seeing them and all the work that they were doing. I just want to give her a shout out, tell how much I appreciated that. And then secondly, I wanted to say I attended a public event last week in Pueblo, and someone walked up to me to give commendations to Ted Johnson and to his staff and their team. And apparently they helped with some situation educationally, and they were very pleased. And they also commented how wonderful that they felt Ted and his team handled the situation. They were just elated. Anyway, I felt good hearing that about our team. So I want to make sure I pass that on. So thank you.
Mr. Farrell?
Thank you, President Voss. At our last meeting, I believe each of you had a pen from the District 60 Foundation at your place at the dais. I just wanted to tell you a little bit of background about that item. The foundation, I serve as one of the representatives of this board on the foundation board. And the foundation typically gives teacher grants every year to support and enhance efforts of a teacher in their classroom. During COVID, fundraising activities for the foundation were a little stunted, as you can expect. So there was a decision not to offer any grants, but the foundation did want to recognize the staff throughout the district and the hard work that they've put in during the pandemic. So they did purchase and gift a pen with a little note of thanks to every employee of the district. Also in foundation news, there is an easier way for the public and people outside of our traditional means of fundraising to give to the foundation now. So you can go to the foundation section on the district website, and there is an easy way to contribute online with a card to support teacher grants moving forward. And we hope that we're able to resume that program this year. In addition to that, I served as the delegate representative at the CASB Delegate Assembly this last weekend, where the Colorado Association of School Boards and delegates from representatives of boards across the state set the goals of the organization, especially legislatively, for the coming year. So if anybody's curious about those, I believe all the board members have received the resolutions that were approved, but you can go to kasb.org/resolutions and see the direction that association will be heading. Thank you.
Thank you. And Ms. Clementi.
Thank you. Just a couple things. Since we've met last, I attended the CASB Board of Directors meeting, working at the state level for us, and a TAP meeting, the Technical Assistance Assessment Panel, which always has some interesting data to share statewide. It's data that CDE uses to make decisions about all of the metrics that are used at that level as well. And I attended the Colorado School Finance meeting, the first one of the year, getting us off to a good start with just basic information on the state of the state and what we can look forward to in our finances. Just the beginnings. Thank you.
Judge Mays, any communications or comments? Okay. Well, I just have some comments tonight regarding the superintendent's evaluation. The board has completed our annual evaluation of the superintendent, and I'll read the evaluation into the record at this time. On February 13th, 2017, the Board of Education appointed Charlotte Macaluso as superintendent of Public School District number 60. The Board of Education has completed its annual evaluation of the superintendent, and it is the responsibility of the board under state statute to share their evaluation with the public. The evaluation was completed in compliance with Colorado law and includes both a written and an oral evaluation. It is intended to provide a general overview of Mrs. Macaluso's performance as superintendent. This process allowed the board the opportunity to assess the superintendent in all aspects of her job performance for the term August 2020 through July 2021. The assessment has been shared with the superintendent. In this evaluation, the board identified several areas of strength and successes achieved by the superintendent, as well as professional growth and improvement areas to focus on moving forward. Superintendent Macaluso has met or exceeded expectations in many areas of district operations. The board's most important areas of focus are ensuring a safe, supportive, and effective learning environment through resources and organizational management, enhancing instructional leadership by implementing and cultivating a shared vision, exemplifying leadership and a commitment to high standards in significantly challenging times, and a greater focus on communication with families and community stakeholders. Superintendent Macaluso's approach to resource and organizational management continues to address urgent needs of the district, as well as promote with fidelity the academic, social, and emotional needs of all students. As mentioned in her evaluation last year, Superintendent Macaluso led the district through a challenging and ultimately an award-winning master facilities plan process to engage the community and formulate a bond proposal. This enabled District 60 to pass a $218 million bond which is the largest bond in the history of the district. In addition to the bond program being utilized to address critical facilities needs, a communication plan was developed to update the community on the progress of the bond. The Master Facilities Plan continues to guide the district in evaluating building conditions and prioritizing repairs. Superintendent Macaluso and her dedicated staff have gone above and beyond by securing 2 highly competitive BEST grants of $32 million to help replace 2 aging elementary schools, as well as securing BEST grants in the amount of approximately $10.5 million to assist with replacing the HVAC systems at Heritage Elementary School and Risley International Academy of Innovation. Through the exceptional management of the 4A bond projects and the premiums from the actual bond sales, the bond program will provide for the build of 2 new high schools, 2 new elementary schools, and a new K-8 school, and repairs to 11 other buildings. Superintendent Macaluso continues to promote high expectations for teaching and learning. She has made noteworthy strides in decreasing the district's dropout rate from 2.5% in 2018 to 1.3% in 2020. This is the second consecutive year the district's dropout rate was below the state's rate of 1.8%. She also increased the district's 4-year on-time graduation rate from 73.9% in 2016 to 82.6% in 2020, which continues to exceed the state's graduation rate. Additionally, Superintendent Macaluso has aligned curriculum and instruction with assessments and state requirements with the adoption and implementation of a K-5 music curriculum, a secondary math curriculum, a secondary ELA curriculum, as well as a district-wide K-12 assessment system. She also convened a stakeholder task force to design a new K-12 online school, which resulted in the adoption of an online curriculum and platform. Through strong leadership and a vision for the future, Superintendent Macaluso has continued to move the district forward, even in the midst of historic and daunting challenges. The board commends Superintendent Macaluso for her leadership during the COVID-19 pandemic. She led the district in developing and implementing a system and process to manage COVID quarantines for cohorts, and nearly 300 COVID-related team meetings were held. Continuous work focusing on recruiting and retaining high-quality staff resulted in securing a 2-year agreement that reflects a beginning teacher salary over $40,000 and a 10% salary increase over 2 years with our collective bargaining units. The leadership and facilitation to identify needs and supports for schools assigned with priority improvement and turnaround plans has led to only 1 school remaining on turnaround status in school year 2020 on the state's accountability system from the 8 that were on turnaround status in school year 2016. Superintendent Macaluso has demonstrated a heightened focus on the district's external communication to improve media relations and create a positive image of the district. This includes the implementation of a new logo and branding message and the launching of a new D60 website, which features a consistent layout across all schools and a new user-friendly design. A new D60 mobile app was also launched in order to bring the information power of the D60 website, social media feeds, and important alerts to one convenient location. A positive narrative of the district has been consistently promoted through positive messages, information, and features, including videos and featured stories. In her 5th year as superintendent, Mrs. Macaluso has made clear and deliberate progress in executing the district's vision and achieving the goals as outlined in our strategic plan and moving the district forward. The board encourages Superintendent Macaluso to pursue professional growth and improvement to ensure that progress continues. The board recognizes that family and community engagement have been incredibly challenging to build on in the midst of a pandemic and ever-changing circumstances. We also recognize the need for continued involvement and support from the community for the sustained success of the district and our students. With that said, the board would urge Superintendent Macaluso to place a focus on spending more time in schools and strive to engage in opportunities to represent the district in the community. Overall, Superintendent Macaluso has proven to be a strong and effective leader who is diligent, intentional, and strategic. She continues to exhibit strong written and verbal communication skills, is willing to constructively and cooperatively solve problems, and always keeps a focus on what is best for kids. This was more evident than ever during the uncertain and fluid times of the pandemic. In closing, the Board of Education remains impressed with Superintendent Macaluso's dedication, commitment, and willingness to collaborate with the board as we look beyond the unusual and challenging 2020-2021 school year and move forward together into the future. It is with sincere gratitude that we submit this evaluation and commend Mrs. Macaluso for her genuine heart for all children and ensuring they receive a strong foundation for learning. Thank you, Superintendent Macaluso.
Thank you, President Voss and board members. I appreciate your kind words and affirmations contained in the evaluation. I want to acknowledge that this has been an incredibly difficult time to serve in public education as the global pandemic continues to loom and we continue to navigate all of the evolving and various challenges that we are faced with. And in spite of the challenges, I'm incredibly grateful for the opportunity to serve the public community and D60 in this capacity as a superintendent. D60 has been part of shaping who I am for nearly 50 years. Probably shouldn't have said that. Now I'm dating myself. But it has continued to shape me either as a student and as a professional. So to be able to give back to an organization that has given so much to me is incredibly gratifying. I want to commend the tremendous leadership displayed by each and every board member on this Board of Education. It's an honor to work alongside each of you. And although there are times that we may not fully agree with each other, I know that the true north of this board lies in what is in the best interest of kids. And we're able to accomplish and advance many successes because we have a very high functioning and effective Board of Education. My job of creating a vision and dreaming up ideas and supporting our D60 team is the easy part for me. That's my job. But even when the ideas sound impossible and unattainable, like can we build, if we're building 2 schools, can we build 4? And can't we squeeze out one more 5th building? Our team, our D60 team gets busy and they chart the course to pave a way to make great things happen for our community. So every success and every achievement is a result of teamwork. Each member of the D60 administration team believes in the mission of D60, and I'm blessed to be surrounded by brilliant and capable team members. What I'm most proud of is the work that happens each and every day in our schools and in our classrooms. Our administrators, our teachers, and our support staff, they're second to none. They dedicate their time and their talent to making a difference in the lives of our scholars, and they do it with such resilience and with such love. The future of District 60 is bright, and I look forward to continuing the work and continuing on this journey. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Superintendent Macaluso. Are there any further comments from the board? Judge Mays.
I just need to say that if Superintendent Macaluso was dating herself, I'm not going to throw any numbers out that will date me. I'm not even sure there is a number for that, but in any event, I think because of the D60 family, starting with the superintendent down to the most recent hire, I have to say that the last 4 years have been 4 of the proudest years of my life in public service. And what this district has been able to do during some just incredibly difficult times is a testament to the grit and the heart and the love that it gives to every one of our students that comes into our buildings. And so I am delighted, Superintendent Macaluso, with the evaluation. And I'm delighted with the fabulous staff that you have assembled, and to those hardworking folks that are in the trenches every single day. I'm glad that we're trying to do the very best we can and giving them the support they need. to make all of our students the most successful individuals they can. So thank you, and keep the course.
Thank you, Judge Mace. Thank you again, Superintendent Macaluso. With that, we'll move to 8.0 special resolutions. First up, we have 2021 National Principals Month Proclamation. Dr. Wright.
The Board of Education is asked to proclaim October as National Principals Month. Whereas principals are educational visionaries, instructional and assessment leaders, disciplinarians, community builders, budget analysts, facilities managers, and administrators of legal and contractual obligations. And whereas principals set the academic tone for their schools and work collaboratively with teachers to develop and maintain a clear vision, high curriculum standards, and set performance goals and objectives for schools to achieve educational excellence. And whereas principals create school environments that facilitate great teaching and learning and continuous school improvement. And whereas the vision, dedication, and determination of a principal provides the mobilizing force behind any school reform effort. And whereas the celebration of National Principal Month honors the contribution of school principals and assistant principals at all grade levels to the success of students in Pueblo School District number 60 schools, and recognizes the importance of principals in ensuring that every child has access to a quality education. Now, therefore, the Pueblo School District number 60 Board of Education does hereby proclaim October 2021 as National Principals Month. President Voss, I recommend that the Board of Education proclaims October as National Principals Month as presented in the October 26, 2021 board materials. I make a motion to accept that.
Second.
I'll call the vote, please.
Ms. Clementi,
Aye.
Mr. Farrell,
Aye.
Judge Mays,
Aye.
Mr. Voss,
Aye.
Dr. Wright.
Aye.
Next up, we have the 2021 National School Psychology Week Proclamation. Mr. Farrell.
Thank you, President Voss. As a way of background, the National School Psychology Week is November 8th through 12th, 2021. And this year's theme is Let's Get in Gear. The theme's acronym provides a challenge to grow both personally and professionally. It encourages school psychologists to engage in best practices and advocate for children's access to mental health and learning supports. To rise implies resilience and renewal despite the challenges of the past. And the resolution reads, 2021 National School Psychology Week, November 8th through 12, 2021. Whereas the National Association of School Psychologists has designated November 8th through 12th, 2021 as National School Psychology Week to highlight the important work school psychologists and other educators do to promote the personal and academic success of children and youth. And whereas children's mental health is directly linked to their learning and well-being, and whereas school psychologists collaborate on teams with teachers, counselors, administrators, students, and parents and guardians to prepare all students to succeed. And whereas Pueblo School District 60 recognizes the critical role of school psychologists in promoting students' academic development, as well as their social, emotional, and physical well-being. And therefore be it resolved that the Pueblo School District number 60 Board of Education hereby proclaims November 8th through 12th, 2021 as National School Psychology Week in District 60 and commends observance to all of our school community. I move the resolution as presented in your materials this evening.
Second.
I'll call the vote, please.
Ms. Clementi? Mr. Farrell?
Aye.
Judge Mays?
Aye.
Mr. Voss?
Aye.
Dr. Wright?
Aye.
Next, we have the 2021 Colorado Gifted and Talented Education Week proclamation. Ms. Clementi.
Thank you, President Voss. The Board of Education is asked to proclaim November 7th through the 14th, 2021, as Gifted and Talented Education Week in concert with the state of Colorado. A state proclamation has gone forth with this same acknowledgement of Gifted and Talented Education Week. Whereas Colorado is home to thousands of students, many of whom excel in one or more areas of their studies, and whereas the state of Colorado encourages and promotes high standards for academic achievement in all students, and whereas providing a challenging experience in the classroom for Colorado's gifted and talented students is vital to ensuring their continued intellectual, social, and academic development. And whereas the Colorado Association for Gifted and Talented is committed to ensuring that teachers, administrators, and parents understand and meet the unique needs of Colorado's students, therefore be it further resolved that we, the Pueblo School District Number 60 Board of Education, does proclaim November 7th through the 14th, 2021 as Gifted and Talented Education Week. I move this resolution and urge the Board of Education to proclaim November 7th through the 14th, 2021 as Gifted and Talented Education Week as presented in tonight's board materials.
I second it.
I'll call the vote.
Ms. Clementi?
Aye.
Mr. Farrell?
Aye.
Judge Mays?
Aye.
Mr. Voss?
Aye.
Dr. Wright?
Aye.
And with that, we'll move to 9.0 reports. Superintendent Macaluso.
Thank you, President Voss. At this time, I'd like to introduce you to Ms. Kelly Warren, who serves as Director of Professional Development, and she's going to give a report, an update on professional development for this school year, 21-22. We can't hear you right now, Kelly.
Sure, I'm just pulling up
there you go.
I'm just sharing my screen right now.
Sorry, I thought you were trying to talk to us.
Not yet. I'm probably talking to myself.
We could see your screen fine.
Okay, excellent. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Let me pull this up. So good evening, President Voss, Superintendent Macaluso, and members of the board. We are here today to give you a short overview of professional development for the school year for teachers and leaders. This year, we are focused on 3 areas: new curriculum, new assessments, and adult social emotional learning strategies. We have 7 professional development days over the course of the school year, and you can see the approximate number of hours spent in each of the 4 areas. Principals are able to prioritize building specific topics, which is listed here as building PD. It is important to note that both teachers and leaders are expected to participate in district-led professional development days, with our leaders learning alongside our teachers. At this time, we are offering a combination of virtual, self-paced online, and in-person professional learning opportunities. For our formal professional development days, district-led PD is primarily virtual and building PD is in person. During non-work Fridays, both in-person and virtual optional classes are offered. This year, we are continuing to focus on content-specific professional learning aligned to recent curriculum adoptions that were mentioned a little bit earlier, today are into literature for 6 through 12 literacy, illustrative mathematics for high school math, Wonders for elementary literacy, Quaver music for elementary music, and Ingenuity, our new 1st through 8th grade online school platform. Our strategic professional learning process ensures alignment with state standards, effective materials usage, consistent scope and sequence pacing, and the knowledge and skills needed to ensure improvement in student achievement. We are grateful for the recent curriculum adoptions, as it makes a significant difference in teacher classroom practice and the instruction students receive. As you know, we recently adopted new assessment tools for our district, iStation for math and literacy at the elementary level, and NWEA and MAPS for math and literacy at the secondary level. Initial assessment adoption training for the elementary and secondary levels provided our teachers with the knowledge and skills to effectively administer the assessments. From there, we will train teachers and leaders to analyze and interpret the data in order to plan for whole group and differentiated small group instruction. Our last focus area of district professional development is adult social emotional learning. Over the course of the year, all adult staff members across the entire district will be trained in the following 5 core competencies: self-awareness, self-management, social awareness, relationship skills, and responsible decision-making. Working with an outside consultant, we've trained 20 in-district facilitators using the Train the Trainer model. In addition to scheduled professional development days, teachers have the opportunity to attend virtual, in-person, and self-paced optional professional learning sessions on non-work Fridays. In order to meet State Board of Education requirements, all K-3 teachers must complete a K-3 evidence-based early literacy course by August of 2022. We offer this course on Fridays, and teachers can also complete this course in virtual or self-paced asynchronous formats offered by the Colorado Department of Education. To date, 163 teachers have completed the literacy training, and 18 teachers are in the process of completing our in-district course right now. To date, we have offered 5 cohorts of in-district training for our teachers within the last year. K-12 teachers are also required by CDE to complete 45 hours of culturally, linguistically diverse education coursework for their professional license renewal. This year, we are offering WIDA-developed self-paced workshops as well as D60-developed self-paced courses created by Lisa Casares, our CLDE TOSA, with the help of an outside consultant. Based on feedback from our teachers and PEA, new and experienced teachers are also offered an optional Building Strong Classroom Culture series. These classroom management classes, offered on non-work Fridays, focus on engineering efficient routines and procedures and building high behavioral expectations with students. An additional series that we are offering our new and experienced teachers is Engaging Academics. In this series, we focus on giving teachers the knowledge and skills to build routines for increasing meaningful student interactions verbally and in writing, as well as checking for student understanding. Promethean interactive whiteboards have been purchased for preschool and kindergarten classrooms across the district using preschool and kindergarten specific funding. Many of our Title I schools have also purchased additional Promethean boards for other grade levels. To support this technology, we are providing teachers with in-person, virtual, and/or self-paced learning opportunities to learn how to effectively use these interactive whiteboards. Over the course of this year, our Exceptional Student Services Department is offering ESS-specific training to our teachers, leaders, and paras on both optional Fridays as well as during scheduled district professional development days. Now I'd like to turn over this presentation to Ted Johnson, the Executive Director of Continuous Improvement and Innovation, to talk about math leads and leader professional development.
Thank you, Kelly, and good evening. This year, we're going to continue supporting the implementation of effective math practices across the district by focusing on the development of math leads and demonstration classrooms within each of our elementary and middle schools. This work will be done through our continued relationship with two partner mathematics consulting. The math lead is a lead classroom teacher who has been identified to support math instruction throughout their building. Math leads demonstrate a deep understanding of math content, as well as the most effective strategies for student success. For 2021-22, identified math leads will engage in professional development during selected Fridays, as well as participate in collaborative learning labs with their peers during the year. With the guidance and support of a two-partner coach, math leads will ultimately transform their classrooms into a demonstration classroom. Demonstration classrooms are an invaluable resource for teachers to see best practice in action. The demo classroom provides an opportunity for their colleagues within the building to observe high-quality math instruction. Lead teachers model best practices in mathematics, allowing fellow teachers to see these exemplar instructional practices, which they can then take back to implement within their own classrooms. And now I'd like to share just a little bit of information regarding our administrative leadership professional development this year. So as you know, we have many seasoned principals on our team, and this year we also welcome several new principals to our cadre of leaders. We have partnered each of these new principals with an experienced principal mentor. And this past summer, they attended a multi-day summer boot camp during which they explored their professional values and created a 90-day plan that included 2 to 3 areas of focus for their school with the accompanying action steps. In addition, each of these principals received information and feedback from a variety of school stakeholders and engaged in a leadership interview process with members of our district team. The induction process for our new principals continues throughout the year with scheduled learning sessions and continued engagements with mentors. And those mentors are always just a phone call away for those principals to pick up the phone when they need some assistance or have a question to ask as things come up. In addition to district professional development days, all principals, assistant principals, and deans are expected to attend ongoing level-specific leadership meetings with their supervisors, as well as our monthly K-12 leadership professional training. A new focus for all leaders this year is developing transformational leadership competencies. These competencies were identified through research and work conducted by Clearview, an education consulting company, in conjunction with the University of Virginia. They include things like how to engage your team, how leaders can take action for the purpose of affecting the perceptions, thinking, and action of others, how to continually be mindful of school performance needs, as well as to hold others accountable for high standards. We will also focus our leadership work on supporting new curriculum and assessment implementation, as well as ongoing updates on legal, safety, and student discipline procedures and expectations. Our last priority area for training is focused on equity in education. So that concludes our presentation this evening, and we'd be happy to answer any questions that you might have.
Well, thank you both. Are there any questions from the board? Ms. Clementi.
Thank you. I have a simple question. I hope that I didn't miss it during your presentation, Mrs. Warren. I believe that there's a deadline for the READ Act professional development, and I don't remember whether it was extended or not. Could you refresh my memory on what that deadline is?
From what I recall from the presentation, I believe it's in 2022.
Oh, good.
August 2022. And so as we hire new teachers, though, if they don't have that credential, then they will need to get it. So this will be something that we will be offering ongoing, hopefully, or teachers have the option of taking that from CDE as well.
Wonderful. Thank you. And thanks for the work that both you and Mr. Johnson do. It's appreciated.
Thank you for the question. I appreciate it.
Any other questions from the board? All right. Well, thank you so much for your reports, and thank you for all the work that you do. With that, we'll move to the 2020-2021 fourth quarter financial report.
Thank you, President Voss. So at this time, that would be Dave Horner, and he's going to present the quarter report.
Good evening. We're sharing a document. To start off with, it is going to be really hard for you to compare pre-COVID numbers, during COVID numbers, and post-COVID numbers for the next couple of years as we try to compare year to year. To me, the main thing to do is, did we finish the year with an ending fund that was positive? And are we budgeting to have a positive ending fund for the following year? And if so, and our audits are turning out great, then we're on track. So the fourth quarter report that I'm showing is the audit is not final. The work has already been done, and it will be, when we present it to you in January, an unmodified, clean audit again. So we're really excited from the business office for that. As you see on the bar chart for 2021, our revenues were a little higher than we budgeted. But if you remember last year, we ended up shifting at-risk funds to the grants. We moved expenses to the grants. And so it's really hard to compare what we thought of a year ago with, 9 months, 10 months later, what really reality was, other than we got to the ending fund and we have money left over like we're supposed to. So I'm very pleased with our fourth quarter report. This is at 104.4% of budget. So it's 5.2% more than it was the year before. I think that's exciting and really happy to allow us to start the year. On our expenditures, we ended up in 1920 at 89.4% and 2021 at 86.9%. So we're within, our expenditures stay within budget, and our revenues exceeded budget. I don't know what else we could ask for as that works. So on the fourth quarter, I'm very pleased with it, and I would accept questions if you have about it. I did make one mistake as I copied documents over into this. Your copy of the document has another section to the right of this yellow that was left from last year. When I copied, I didn't realize it picked it up. So I'm sorry about that. And we get Jerry a corrected copy for the file. It didn't affect the data at all. It just made it harder for you to distinguish what we did. So is there any questions about the fourth quarter before I move on to the first quarter?
Barb?
Thank you. Yes, I think it is going to be really difficult to compare. So thank you for that. Did I hear you say that in the end, we spent 86% of the budget last year? Or did I get that wrong?
So let's see. In 2021, we spent 86.9% of the amended budget. In 1920, we spent 89.4%. So we never spend all of it because that's your ending fund. And so we maintained within the budget of where you would want us to be. You don't want to spend in 102%.
True. Very true. We get into trouble that way. are the high 90 percentages a good average, a good place to be? Should we aim at getting up to 92 or 3? Should we aim at something less?
You require 9% ending fund.
That's right.
So that would be a 91%. So we are, that's our targets, and we would always like to have a little more than target.
Cushion. Right.
Yes.
Good. Thank you. Lastly, how are you keeping track of the CARES and the ESSER monies and how those are being spent? Are those in a separate, they have to be in a separate account, right?
They are in separate grant funds, each one, and they are scrutinized by either Lana or Donna or me or all of us. And it has been a challenge, but then there is such specific guidance on how you can spend which dollars. And we are, there's a survey that we're out right now asking about on our ESSERS 3 to make sure as we're putting that plan together, we are involving our community. We have some great ideals on how to spend it, but 20% of it has to be spent on lost learning by the rules. So we are working through that right now and making,
I appreciate that. And I was happy to see that that community survey. So what you're talking with us about is simply the general fund, and it doesn't include any of the CARES or ESSER money. Thank you.
I mean, you have documentation in all the backup funds in the documents, but this is the general fund, our main operating fund.
Great. Thank you.
Any other questions on fourth quarter? All right, so let's look at first quarter. Oops. I got something, I think I hit a button, and let's see now. I think I touched a key on my keyboard and it changed everything. All right, looks like we got the first quarter back up. So this is still the same thing. Audit's not final, obviously. We are looking in good shape. I am very confident with where we're at. If you remember a couple of years ago, we did start encumbering salaries and benefits. So it makes it look like as we get into the expenditure side, we have, 78%, 75% of our money spent already, which we really don't, but it shows where that expenditure will be at the end of the year to help us budget better. And now that we've been doing it for a couple of years, now we can start comparing that. So on the revenue side, so we've collected $20 million for the 2021, which is 16.6% of budget, and that's 5.5% less than we did at this point in last year for where we're at. But there's so many different things, the way they're funding us with, we go back to the same conversation we had on the fourth quarter with the ESSERS funds coming and going and removing expenditure. For 2021 and 75% for 1920. And, we're good shape. I don't know what else to say. We got a good plan on our budget for ending fund. I think we're in great shape. We will continue to monitor it as we go forward. We're, have a lot of funds in the ESSERS that we're going to moving and doing other things with. We're continuing to try to cover some other pieces out of the BEST grant things. So I'm really quite comfortable with it. I'm open for questions. I know that's, not a very in-depth discussion of the subject, but we're just only first quarter in.
Ms. Clementi.
I'm glad to hear that we are in good shape. It has not. I'm old enough to remember when that was not the case. So thank you for your work with that.
Our ideals are, for the tax collections and the way the payments have come in. They've also, shifted some of the at-risk funding around and
Okay.
things. I think it's more timing.
Got it.
Yep. If they get it here before the end of September, it counts. If it's October 2nd, it doesn't count. Those type of things.
Right. Okay.
I'm not concerned where we're going to end up.
Okay,
Like we
that's what-
talked in the enrollment last meeting, that our enrollment is where we expected or a little higher. So that'll generate us a little extra revenue that we'll bring into the conversation in the amended budget. So I really feel good about where we're at.
Wonderful. Well, this is good news. Thank you very much.
Any other questions?
Any other questions?
All right. Well, thank you, Mr. Horner, and thank you for all the great work.
Thank you.
Okay. With that, we will move to 10.0 policy. Superintendent Macaluso.
Thank you, President Voss. At this time, I'd like to invite Ms. Marcy Imes, who serves as Executive Director of Secondary Ed and CTE, and she is bringing forth, I believe, three separate policies for second reading. I think the first one she's bringing are two of them. Ms. Imes?
Sorry, I thought I had my camera on and it was doing something weird. Thank you, Mrs. Macaluso, President Voss, members of the board. I am bringing forward the three policies that I brought forth on the October 14th. On the first reading, board member Clementi provided feedback and asked that we carry out the GPA to 100% to the hundredths place value, 2 points past the decimal point to make it more clear in terms of the GPA for grading, to provide strong clarity. So we did that for IKC and IKCR. And at this point, I would ask that you approve the policy changes on the second reading so that we can move forward.
Ms. Clementi.
Thank you, Mrs. Imes. I appreciate the modifications that you made. I think it makes, well, it will head off a lot of questions and miscommunication. So if it's appropriate, President Voss, I will move that the Board of Education approve the modifications to board policy IKC, class rankings and grade point averages, and to board policy IKCR, the Laude honor system, on the second and final readings.
Second.
Is there any discussion? I'll call the vote, please.
Ms. Clementi,
Aye.
Mr. Farrell,
Aye.
Judge Mays,
Aye.
Mr. Voss,
Aye.
Dr. Wright.
Aye.
We'll move to our third policy now.
Our third policy is IHCD, and that was the policy that was put forth with recommendations from the CASB. And I would ask at this point that the board approve the modifications to that policy as well.
Is there anything else from the board on this one? All right, then I will move that we approve the modifications to Board Policy IHCDA, concurrent enrollment on second and final reading as presented.
Second.
Second.
Any discussion? I'll call the vote, please.
Ms. Clementi,
With grateful acknowledgement of the difference between shall and will, aye.
Mr. Farrell,
Aye.
Judge Mays,
Aye.
Mr. Voss,
Aye.
Dr. Wright.
Aye.
Okay, we'll move now to 11.0, the consent agenda. Are there any items anyone would like to be removed to be voted on separately? Then I will move that we approve consent agenda items 2 through 17 as presented.
Second.
Any discussion? I'll call the vote, please.
Ms. Clementi,
Aye.
Mr. Farrell,
Aye.
Judge Mays,
Aye.
Mr. Voss,
Aye.
Dr. Wright.
Aye.
We'll move now to 12.0 action items. Superintendent Macaluso.
Thank you, President Voss. The first action item is recommendation for the expulsion of student number 144427.
And I will move that the Board of Education expel student number 144427 for 1 calendar year pending review in 45 days as presented in tonight's board materials.
Second.
I'll call the vote, please.
Ms. Clementi,
Aye.
Mr. Farrell,
Aye.
Judge Mays,
Aye.
Mr. Voss,
Aye.
Dr. Wright.
Aye.
We have a second action item here. Superintendent Macaluso.
The second action item also involves an expulsion. I would recommend the expulsion of student number 159773.
And I will move that we expel student number 159773 for 1 calendar year pending review in 45 days as presented in tonight's board materials.
Second.
I'll call the vote, please.
Ms. Clementi,
Aye.
Mr. Farrell,
Aye.
Judge Mays,
Aye.
Mr. Voss,
Aye.
Dr. Wright.
Aye.
And our third action item, Superintendent Macaluso.
Thank you, President Voss. At this time, I would ask that the board consider the approval of additional allocation of bond funds for Sunset Park Elementary and Franklin School of Innovation and new K-8 building as presented in board materials.
Okay, I will move that we approve the additional allocation of bond funds for Sunset Park Elementary and Franklin School of Innovation of $5,600,000 and a new K-8 building of $2,900,000 as presented in tonight's board materials.
Second.
Any discussion? I'll call the vote, please.
Ms. Clementi,
Aye.
Mr. Farrell,
Aye.
Judge Mays,
Aye.
Mr. Voss,
Aye.
Dr. Wright.
Aye.
We'll move now to 13.0, board discussion recommendations for agenda. Is there any discussion or recommendations from the board? Okay, seeing none, we'll move to 14.0 announcements. Superintendent Macaluso, do you have any announcements or are there any from the board?
Thank you, President Voss. I wanted to just announce that we received notification today that the FDA did approve the Pfizer vaccine for ages 5 to 11-year-olds. We are anticipating that will go to CDE. We are thankful that our nation and our state has been proactive and in anticipation of that approval, they will begin ordering those, and we should be able to begin administration of those vaccine in conjunction with the health department. We anticipate beginning as soon as November 5th. And so we will be having clinics near our elementary schools to make it accessible to our families. So more information to come on that, but our team has been working on that information.
Thank you for that. Any other announcements? Any further business from the board? All right, then at 7:13 p.m., we are adjourned. Thank you, everyone.